Hey guys, this is something a little different for you. This is a speed draw video with commentary over the top. The subject I wanted to cover while you're watching this watching this drawing get coloured, I wanted to talk about grief briefly and how creativity and grief they're essential parts of the human experience. I lost my sister 2 months ago. She died after a very short battle with cancer, and it was... Obviously, this is pain I'm going to have to live with the rest of my life, but I've never had to deal with this level of grief before. I've lost people in my life before, but never so sudden and someone so young. How do you deal with that is like when you're grieving, one of the last things you really want to do is create something, because you know, creativity is something you should enjoy. But I've been contemplating this since her passing, and I have been creating art pieces for my own benefit, just trying to process things and let emotions out. And I also wanted to maybe just talk about it to see if it will help other people understand the connection between grief and creativity. As I just said, loss and creativity they're two essential parts of the human experience, so when we experience loss, creativity might be the best way out of that. And the creative brain, it's about maximizing your imagination and productivity. So when you're going through grief, you want to find some sort of control again, and one of the ways to do that is to be productive. And in my personal life, I don't have any people depending on me personally. I don't have any children of my own. I don't have any other people that rely on me on a daily basis, but obviously I do have family members that I want to make sure are okay, and they will do the same for me. So I do believe that everyone has the capacity to be creative. I know a lot of people say, oh, I'm not creative, I can't draw, I can't do anything. But creativity isn't just about a drawing or like a book. Creativity is in how you think, not in the actual act of producing a thing. And some of us do express it in a more robust way, I suppose. When you're dealing with grief and creativity, it's more about innovation, in the sense that you're doing an action to kind of help you process, you know, it could be shock or trauma or post-traumatic stress disorder, you know, all of this kind of thing. When you're at that level of complete sadness and hopelessness, it can result in a literal deactivation of the areas of the brain that allows you to be creative. And that doesn't just happen when you're going through grief. That can happen at any point. That can happen if you're suffering from depression or extreme social anxiety. I suffer from both, so I can understand. You know, there are times where it's just that level just makes you feel so hopeless. All you can do is just, you know, one second you're like you think you're fine, and the next minute you're a 33-year-old woman crying into your Disney Hercules Pegasus plushie, you know. You feel dumb, but it's like everyone goes through grief differently, and everyone approaches creativity differently as well. The main problem during grief is the literal deactivation of the left hemisphere, and you know, that can feel like your whole brain is shutting down, but it's actually just that one part. Obviously there's the right hemisphere, which can as a result be overactivated. So in order to find a balance between that, again, you need to find a way to heal that, and creativity to me is very medicinal in the sense for your mental health. And you know, like grief affects you mentally and physically, and obviously you don't always feel like tapping into your creative side following a trauma like a sudden death in the family, especially when it's your job, like myself. Like I pay my bills with my art and my videos and everything else I do. It's what pays for my everyday living. So obviously if I can't reach that level, if I can't get the left hemisphere to activate then, it's like, well, it's not exactly something I can delegate out to other people either. So it's difficult, but you have to give yourself time to just process everything, and that can sometimes mean just stopping everything. And I mean, all I did after my sister passed was I just watched movies and shows that we used to watch together as kids, and that to me gave me some kind of level of connection to her, even though she wasn't there anymore. But I just didn't feel creative at all anymore, and to some extent I still feel like that some days. But I know that creativity never leaves you. In fact, it's always just looking over your shoulder, like just tapping you, going, I'm still here, don't worry. There are things that you want to do creatively, might it be for yourself, or you want to be able to communicate to other people, this is how I'm doing. So I would make art pieces that I felt were a tribute to my sister, or how I felt about her and about her passing. So I made art pieces of Maddie being hugged by Baymax from the Disney movie Big Hero 6, and I've done a few other drawings that I won't be sharing online, they're just for me. But you know, for me, when you lose a sibling, it's like you're losing that person that you saw every single day during your childhood. Like, you're figuring yourself out as a person, as a human being, as a woman, and you know, you've got this person that's just a little bit ahead of you. She's 2 years older than me, so I was able to look at her and see what was coming in my life in regards to growing up and maturing physically, mentally. So you know, you're able to speak to her about menstruation, for instance, or you know, like, what's high school like, and you know, what, like, when I'm pursuing a relationship, what kind of person should I pursue? And you know, she was able to give me good advice about that, and how it's like, it's not really something you should pursue, it's something that really just comes to you when the time is right. And yeah, that meant a lot to me. I didn't find the right person for me until I was in my mid-30s, so, well, early 30s rather, but it's different for everybody. Grief, it's a natural part of life. Sadly, it's unavoidable part of the human experience, but I think there is such a thing as a healthy way to mourn. Everyone mourns differently, I get that. Mourning and grieving is something that we really should talk about more. It seems to be this subject that it's like, ooh, we can't talk about that, that's far too sensitive, or it's like the subject that cannot be named, you know, like when you open up about mourning, it's like, it's deep within your core of yourself, and it can be very healing when you start talking about it, but at the same time, you're opening yourself up, you're being vulnerable in front of people that haven't seen this side of you. They might not understand loss in the same level as you're experiencing, so they just don't know what to say or do. But the whole point is that they're present in the moment with you, so you need to have people that you feel safe and secure around, so you can bring the shields down, you know. I think it's also about coming from a place of authenticity as well. There are times when the grieving process is interrupted or even hijacked because maybe something else happens on top of everything. There's misunderstandings, or your time of vulnerability, someone sees that and decides to take advantage of that. I've had that experience in the past and recently, and it's not nice. Sometimes when you're at your lowest, you learn who your real friends are. I think grief provides some of the low notes of our lives that make it a richer symphony overall, and taking an inventory of yourself, I think, is important. And when I'm drawing Maddie is basically my avatar in pretty much everything I do online. She represents me in every possible way, but in personality and in physicality, because she's short and she looks more childlike than she really is, but she is actually an adult. She just physically doesn't look like one yet, or ever will be, I don't think. and you know, when I grew up with that mentality that I always looked very childlike, because I'm very short. I'm 5'1", so I was often mistaken as a child growing up because I was really short. But then I was also thinking about the dynamic between my other character and Maddie Mary. Now, I always had this opinion that Maddie and Mary are like sisters. They come from the same kind of creative place to me. Like, Maddie represents the structured creativity where everything is under control, everything's got a step-by-step plan in place. This is what's happening, whereas Mary is more about spontaneous creativity, because literally she was made within 10 minutes. This character was made as a joke character. I had no intention of keeping around, but then she provided someone for Maddie to bounce off of, and I suddenly discovered, oh hey, I can express Maddie's cynical side. I never intended for this to happen at all, but I actually kind of realised recently, earlier this year before my sister passed, I'm like, actually, although Mary is not a literal representation of my sister, I do believe that Maddie and Mary's dynamic is very similar to the kind of dynamic that myself and my sister had. We were like chalk and cheese, and you know, it was looking at these two characters, it's like, yeah, they're sisters, but I think they do represent me as a whole. They're like, I do have that spontaneous, fun, naive side where I think I'm a little bit of an elitist. I think I'm the best thing ever, you know, whatever. I have to be brought down a peg or two quite often. I know that. And like, this picture you're seeing in front of you is kind of like an embodiment of how I've been feeling the last couple of months. It's like Maddie showing the pain of the emotional pain. Is she just wears it on her face, but she's angry about it. But she's angry about what's happened because she's just not able to do anything about it. And then Mary just shows the utter confusion and shock. Like, what just happened? What do you mean? Like, not able to kind of contemplate exactly what's happened and stuff. But it's like, she's also, Mary's not sure. Oh god, Maddie's hugging me. What the heck? What do I do? And this is kind of what happens when, like, someone goes through grief and they go to someone for comfort. And, like, I've been on that receiving end, and you just don't know what to say. And now I can completely understand. Sometimes you meet up with people after such a sudden loss, and just the confusion and pity and panic sometimes on their face, because they're just so worried that they're going to do something wrong to upset you or something, but all you want to do is just be with them, you know. And that's basically what this drawing is about, with Maddie just hugging Mary, not really caring, because although they like appear to hate each other, or rather, like, I have parts of myself that I really don't like. Most of that is represented in Mary, I suppose, but it's like, she's the taller one, she's the one that her self-esteem is through the roof, and it's like, well, this is the kind of person I would wish to be like. When I remember my sister, it was like she had so much more confidence than me, so it's like, I can see a lot of myself and my sister in these two characters. So I just wanted to bring this up about how, you know, creativity is so much more than just a so-called talent or like a hobby. It can help you to heal, and it's definitely helping me to have that outlet. And I know not everyone has that, but I just feel so grateful that it's there. And I just really believe that if you're going through a rough time, maybe if you find a way to pour yourself into a task, like, might it be write a story, or, you know, you want to start analysing stuff and write about it, or make videos, or do a drawing or a painting, or make plushies, or, you know, like, just build stuff. I don't know, but it can be so much more than that. And especially during this time, during lockdown, this is the perfect time to start doing it. So yeah, I just wanted to do that really quickly, so I say quickly, this video's almost 20 minutes long, but yeah, thanks for watching guys. I'm Mad Munchkin, stay creative.